Amongst the cities, the bustling crowds, amongst them tall buildings, man-made objects, the concrete jungle, some might call it. There is lands, there is roads of natural beauty, preserved predominantly for animals, lands of rolling hills, sweeping cascades, valleys and forests of safe havens for animals and creatures. These lands were once ours. These lands were part of an ecosystem that we once survived and lived in and assisted the animals in order so that we could survive. We used their skills, their knowledge. We watched animals, we watched how they fed. Developed a social system from that. We were able to develop certain things because we were able to retain that information. We come from a beautiful, beautiful planet, and that includes the critters, the flies, the ants, the spiders. They all mean something to us. These lands need to be preserved and kept, not just for the beauty, not just for the nature, but the poetry it brings along with it, the enlightenment to the base of any living thing, down to our trees, down to our nature, down to water and the fish. These things have to be preserved. One blade of grass could be a home to an ant. Very small, insignificant things along these rolling hills and up these valleys, round deep and dark wooded areas. The beauty, the absolute beauty, the sunlight gazing, that building inside, the sheep in the background, and the silent whispers of traffic rolling by, along with the silence, moments of silence as traffic pauses, the wind slowly rolling off the hills and into the valley. It's very important to remain and keep these valleys and these ecosystems preserved. So we have to relook at our architecture and relook at the population and how we sustainably move forward in retaining our ecosystem without damaging it through property, for plundering the planet for money and cash. But also we need to think about our own growth and what's sustainably fit for the future. We've got some really troubled economic systems. We've got some real struggles with social systems that have been developed on the back of our history of war, and these are things that we need to develop as we move forward and retain for future generations. We need to be able to start bringing children and schools out to natural locations and start to understand the poetry behind the education that nature can give us. Because the very core of education should be about our environment, because without it we wouldn't survive. And a lot of nature can teach us a lot about our social systems, a lot about our own genetic DNA, and we need to really preserve that. There's a lot of education in these rolling hills and forestry areas, and we could learn a lot, including children. So if I was to come into Parliament, or if I was to make any sort of influence, my main and first priority would be the environment. And anything that stems from the environment would be the catalyst for social change, unifying nations, and the care and love for the planet and the animals. If you have some time, don't just drive by and ignore what the beautiful countryside has to offer. Take a moment, have a little walk in the grass, take your shoes off if first. It's good to get out and ground yourself into the ground. It's good to be able to do this. I mean, what's the problem? Take a flask of tea or a bottle of water and just spend an hour, whether it's walking around or just sitting off and just enjoying the scenery and acknowledging the behaviour of the animals and acknowledging the impact they have on the land, because they're absolutely vital to human survival, and they're absolutely vital to every other animal's survival, along with the natural events which need to happen in order for other species to survive. But we can still learn from behaviour of animals. This is where it started. So just take a moment, have a deep breath, and just gaze at the landscape. Look around the rolling hills or rolling mountains, deep into the distance, on a nice warm summer's day, with birds flying by and just the odd breeze or even brisk winds, depending on the ocean's level. If we design our social system to be the core of the environment, we could all have large gardens, rolling hills and fruit trees, and we could, instead of going to a shop and buying fruit and vegetables, we could just simply come out to the field, pick a couple of fruit and vegetables up, drop a couple of fruit and vegetables so that it nourishes the soil. And provided that we do that and we pick up the seeds and we drop them, we want to try and create a system whereby we don't need shops, whereby it could be like a cooperative system where you come, you get your fruit and vegetables, you get a few more, you drop them on the floor, you split the seeds, and you make sure that growth's coming. And it could be like a good family outing, an hour or two, just walking through the woods, walking through the fields, picking up fruit and vegetables, dropping seeds. We've lost an awful lot, haven't we? A lot of knowledge and a lot of care for the environment, because we're so saturated with this man-made godly object of money, which is essentially, it was first created via paper, and with that paper means that we had to chop down some of our environment in order to create that system, not knowing that the oxygen that is taken away from trees and plants is actually a detriment to mankind, as opposed to a plus which we've psychologically included in our general society. So just take that other moment, take in the scenery, and just remember, we're all the same. The ants, the spiders, the bugs, the critters, the soil, the grass, the water. We're all part of it. And with the right social structure in place, we can get back to that. We don't have to be robots here to work. Do you know what I'm saying? We don't have to be robots here to work, to earn a living and pay rent and worry about interest and tax and inflation and growth and wage hikes and wage lows and bills and this and that and the other. Life really doesn't have to be that difficult. It's really quite simple. I mean, every animal on this planet seems to manage it, but for some reason human beings can't manage it. And instead we choose to go out, cause wars, animosity, fear, hate, envy, jealousy, control, with a sense of power, there's a sense of authority that we seem to have got ourselves wrapped up in. The real authority is the land, the animals, the growth, the trees. That's our real authority. Not these institutions, not these leaders. They are not authority. The land, the trees, the plant life, that's our authority. And we're all subject to it. And it stands above any other political institutions, any principality, and anything in society stems from the earth. So we've got to take care of the environment, and hopefully with the right people in place we can do just that. We can change the social system.